she's interesting because she appeals to both moderates and left-wing people in the party. Like, not all of them, obviously, because some people on the left really hate her. And I don't think she gets that much vitriol from moderates, to be honest. But, so if you look at her record in the Senate, is that she's one of the most left-leaning senator. She has one of the most left-leaning record in the Senate. You know, and but she has she has at the same time this reputation for being a moderate and a pragmatic politician, and I think that stems from her career in California and San Francisco as she was growing up, and just when she was attorney general and district attorney. I think that's when she was more moderate and more centrist, and once she got to the Senate, she became more left leaning because of just the way the party is. But one of her one of the defining moments in her presidential campaign before she dropped out of the primary was when she was in the debate, and the Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard demanded that she apologize for having prosecuted people for marijuana infractions when she had claimed that she smoked weed back in college.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
And that was a big moment because she didn't have a good answer to Tulsi Gabbard's attacks there. But I think those attacks didn't land as much because Tulsi Gabbard isn't well liked in the Democratic Party. So it was kind of like someone who's not really well liked who's attacking Kamala Harris. But those attacks were quite effective. And if they came from someone else, let's say in Cory Booker, for example, Cory Booker and Kamala Harris are really close, and this would never happen. But let's say they weren't as close, and Cory Booker attacked Kamala Harris on those same grounds. I think her career would have her chances of being VP would have gone down the drain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even that's a specific attack. When I remember seeing it live, I'm I loved it. It was straight to the point. It was facts, and it was something that I'm people need to talk more about, especially even now as if I said it then when we were recording the episode on the debates. I'm the Black community does not trust Kamala Harris. They don't like her. That's why, in my opinion, I'm her presidential bid is not going anywhere. It's not. She just can't get that Black vote. And as the number one person on the Democratic ticket, if you can't, the Black people don't really trust you and don't really want you, you're not going anywhere. But now her as a VP pick for me made a lot of sense. Because as you said, she appeals to the moderate. They don't find any great flaw with Kamala Harris. They're fine with Kamala Harris, but it's the people that are more left leaning, the Black people that just simply don't like her. But when it comes to this election specifically, I think picking Kamala Harris takes away ammo from Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, his attack before Kamala Harris was and even now he's still doing it, but he was gonna run basically on law and order, basically like a Nixon type election. He's yo, we're gonna restore law and order. Even though you're president, the thing is Nixon was not president when he said that. Trump is literally president right now, so it's kind of what are you doing right now? But regardless, now we can't really say that Joe Biden, when he's gonna come in, it's gonna be complete lawlessness, etc., because you have a prosecutor like Kamala Harris that sent a parent to jail for truancy because her child, because she couldn't, because of truancy, because the child didn't go to school, right? Like if you have somebody, a prosecutor like that as your VP pick, it really takes away the element that Trump was going to attack them on supposed lawlessness and etc. But the pick of Kamala Harris by Joe Biden was also really tough for the vetting team, because for people in the vetting team, especially I think Senator Chris Dodd of Connecticut, he was part of the vetting team for Joe Biden. And when Kamala Harris attacked Joe Biden on stage,
we've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist, and I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
That moment was a tough moment, because and for me that moment was crazy, because he's like, you are the reason why I was like one of the last kids to be able to go into a school out of district because of because of busing policies, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a direct attack on Joe Biden, especially because Joe Biden has said before, like, he's prided himself in being able to work with anybody, segregationists, and etc. So that attack landed really hard. So even Chris Dodd was like, yo, I don't think Kamala Harris, behind the scenes, like, yo, I don't think Kamala Harris would be the pick, because y'all really fought hard against each other. Like, she literally attacked you, and Trump has been using that now that Kamala Harris is the pick. He's like, yo, she criticized him so much.
She was nasty to him.
She was nasty to him. Trump does not care about who's nasty to who, but, you know, it helps to show, like, yo, these guys are divided. How are you gonna be nasty to him and be his VP pick? But regardless, like I said, I think Kamala Harris right now makes a lot of sense because of the way the country is positioned, and I think Joe Biden delivers to especially the black woman, because they're like, yo, I picked the black woman, a black VP, and as he said, he's going to be a transitional candidate, right? So a lot of people are like, ultimately, Kamala Harris could be the next president of the United States, right? So, and I think one thing, I didn't know that the vice presidents have a debate, so they debate each other. Oh, yeah. Kamala Harris is gonna eat up Mike Pence like we've never seen before, man. Yeah. She on stage, man. Even though she didn't do well in a presidential bid, yo, I know she can attack Mike Pence like so bad. And one more thing I'll say on Kamala Harris, I was very impressed when her and Joe Biden had that first speech in, I think it was Wilmington, first speech together. And Joe Biden had his speech. Honestly, I was bored. I didn't like the speech. Like, I was so bored. He was just all over the place. Like, cause I'm not even gonna get into it, but it was all over the place. But Kamala Harris came and gave her speech, and I'm like, damn, that is why also she's a good VP pick, because she can really speak to the people. She's a good speaker. She's energetic, and at moments she could be cheesy. I know you think you also, like, you have your beef, you think she's disingenuous a bit or whatever. I don't know if you still feel like that, but even though, like, look, seeing her in that speech, I'm like, damn, she's good. Like, she's really good. And I love when she mentioned her growing up with her mother Shamala teaching her and her sisters that, yo, everything's going wrong around the world. Like, you don't have to sit there and just take it. Like, actually do something. Don't just complain about it. And that, I'm telling you, she's really good on stage, and I'm impressed. I think this is gonna be a really good race.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You know, just a few points. Like, you're right to mention that the Republicans' attack against Joe Biden or the ticket as being, you know, as you said, Trump was planning to run on a law and order campaign, and is still doing it. And part of that campaign was to say that the Democrats were against cops, you know, But at the same time, you remember earlier in the primaries, the Republicans were trolling Kamala Harris as being a cop, right?
Yeah.
They had these memes with her like wearing like a uniform, a police uniform. So it's kind of like it's not working because you can't say that she's a cop and she's also against the cops.
Yeah.
You know, so like
What is it?
yeah, the attacks there don't land. And yeah, you know, she's, as you said, Kamala is great on stage, especially just debating. She's one of those, like, she's a furious debater. So Pence is gonna have a hard time.
He's gonna get eaten up.
Yeah. And just in terms of her, I think her chemistry with Joe Biden, because it's really important for the president to have a good chemistry with his or her vice president. You know, because if the president doesn't trust the vice president, then the VP doesn't have any job, right? You know, because the VP's job is defined according to the president. So, but you know, one of the selling points that Joe Biden has been talking about and Kamala has been talking about is that Kamala knew Joe Biden's son, Bo Biden, before he died from cancer. And you know, Joe Biden has been saying that Kamala she's always been part of the Biden family, blah, blah, blah. You know, so like, I think chemistry wise, you know, they can easily move past those, you know, those, rougher times of the primaries, you know, like if, you know, I remember watching some tapes from like the 2008 primary with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Barack was, you know, it was furious, like a bit, it was really, rough, you know. Barack was painting Hillary as this corporate person who would only worked for corporations and etc. And
The
Hillary was
elite, like princess.
exactly, and Hillary was painting Barack as like this amateur, someone who's inexperienced, and it was, you know, it was one of those. It was rough, but ultimately Barack ended up winning. Hillary became Secretary of State later on, and Barack ended up supporting Hillary in 2016, even, you know, more than, you know, you remember the story, even more than Biden, when Biden was contemplating running, you know. So those things can change. I don't think like the primary, as people are making it, like those moments are that defining.